So the last piece I want to get into is around, we've looked at purpose. We looked at great leaders who create this piece. And the last piece, just talk a little bit about values and this culture piece that we look and how do we understand culture? And so for me, a piece on this starts with, we've got to be smart. Hey, we do need to have the strategy in place. We need to have good technology. We need to have good systems and best practices in our finance. But we also need to be healthy. We want to have minimal confusion. We don't want to have politics. We want people to feel motivated and there's high morale. We want to have low people turnover. And it's both of those things that are important. We all agree on that, yeah. The piece is that if we are not healthy, it doesn't matter how smart we are. It's not going to go anywhere. I could be the most intellectually bright person, but if I'm lying on my sickbed, I'm useless, I'm worthless. And when I ask leaders about this, they all nod their heads and say, yeah. And I say, where do you spend most of your time? On the left-hand side or the right-hand side? Working in the business or doing the work of leadership? Mostly we'll say on the left-hand side, hey, and it's quite natural because we've been taught that stuff. It's tangible. We know what levers to pull. This is the harder, messier stuff, the culture piece, creating a healthy organization. And so for us, culture is just the sum total of all behaviors in an organization. Hey, not the values on the wall, the sum total of all the behaviors. The thing about culture, and I think comes to the point just now about how do we do this in a large organization, is to realize and be okay with the fact that all culture is local. So what I mean by that, I have the joy of living in this beautiful city, and I've had the joy of walking that mountain. One of the things you experience when you walk on a mountain like Table Mountain, it looks like one mountain, looks like a beautiful day, but I could just walk up this Platteklip Gorge here, and there could be a cold wind blowing. And I can come up over and come down Indian Fenster, and it's suddenly warm. It's like that in our companies. I could probably walk onto one floor here, and I would find everybody chip still, and I could go to another place, and everybody's loud and joking and carrying on. All culture is local. And where does that come from? It's our different leaders, and the way we work and the things we do. And so we remember that all culture is local. And so earlier we spoke about there's stuff that we only see. It's the stuff that we typically use to try and motivate. And then there's the stuff that inspires us. There's the stuff that sits above the line, and there's the stuff that sits below, the soil, the nutrients. And so the objective stuff is the way we say we get things done. You know, it's the vision and the mission and the values and the structures and the systems and the processes and our procedures and our performance management, all the stuff we see. We say that's how we get things done. But actually there's this piece at the bottom, is the subjective, is the way we really get things done. It's below the surface. And those come from our historic patterns, our lived values, not the values on the wall, what we actually live. Our attitudes, our unconscious beliefs that we're walking around with, our assumptions, our perceptions, our feelings, our fears. Every day those things are showing up, but they're below the line. We don't talk about them. They're hard to sometimes see. We feel them, we experience them, but they're subjective. In other words, I feel it, I experience this. And so what I want to share with you is a piece of how do we get this aligned? How do we make sure the subjective and the objective are working together? Because that's when we really get collaboration happening. And so alignment for us talks about these four quadrants of human systems. We all show up with individual values and beliefs, and those determine our individual behaviors. And so I often say, if you want to know how somebody behaves, or what they believe, look at how they behave. Don't listen to what they say they believe. Say I value family, but I spend only 5% of time with them, and when I'm there, I'm not present. Hey, do I really value family? What my real values are shaped by this. But then we all come to work, or we all live in a country, and together we form a set of group values and beliefs to say that, hey, these things are the things that we hold dear and important. And we put social structures around those things. We have constitutions and laws and policies. And in a company, we have codes of ethics and all sorts of things to make sure we can live those group culture norms that we've determined. And so this work for us is about how do you create alignment between those things, because what we have found is that truly inspired employees feel a values alignment. Otherwise, I can bring my values into this place. I don't have to compromise them, and I resonate very strongly with the values of this place. And I can bring my purpose and live it out here because it connects and resonates with the purpose of sustainable food security in the world, and I'm excited about that, and I know I can play a role in contributing to that. That's when we get inspired employees, the team members. How do we make this happen? Well, for me, there are two other pieces that have to get aligned, and this is the work of leadership, is personal alignment, that our leaders are walking the talk. All the stuff we're putting out there, those objective things, we actually feel and experience from them below the surface because they are completely aligned and they are continuously working towards showing up as a great leader. And, we are working on structural alignment all the time. What does that mean? The way we recruit, the way we induct, the way we performance manage, the way we succession plan, the way we even exit our people, if they decide to leave, is all done in line with our values and our mission. They don't talk to a different thing. So, for example, you've got these are your values, yeah? Well, these are AFGRI's, I think. And I know you might have some, but it's the group values. You have a value of teamwork. I wonder if I go and look at your performance management system, what's the weighting is between individual and team and the collective? What is our performance management around the team or the individual? And sometimes I've got to call that out to say, we're sending mixed messages if we're focusing too much on the individual and not the team. Are we aligned to our values? And so that's a continuous piece of work to know.